Let's take a look at what's going on with Dogecoin today, guys. Okay, so in yesterday's video, we were watching this potential bull flag. We had this big run up, and then we started consolidating something like this. Yesterday's video, I had this trend line at this bottom support line a little bit different. Let me go ahead and readjust it and show you what I was looking at yesterday. I had something like this. Let's see, something like that, where we had support right here, came up, then came down, got support again, and that's where I was watching that trend line right here. We broke that trend line going to the downside. I was kind of worried that it might have been over, or we might be seeing a correction right here. I mean, that could be a clue that we might be seeing a correction. I mean, we definitely saw a little one right here, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have some patience. I'm not gonna pay attention, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna stay in it, basically. And we got a little bounce right here going to the upside. Let's see if we could continue this momentum going up. So what I did is I moved this trend line, I adjusted it something like this, where we have this bottom and this bottom. We have the bottom right here, and then we have the bottom right here. Let's see if we can continue to bounce in these two trend lines and then break to the upside still. I think the targets changed a little bit. Yesterday I was looking at approximately 0.641 because we were testing the top resistance right here. I thought we were going to break out right here and start heading back up to this level, possibly. Like I said, we had a bull flag, something like this. The way you target this pattern right here, when you have a big run up and then you have consolidation, it looks like a flag. There's the pull, and then there's the flag right there. Once we break that resistance going to the upside, we can drag from the bottom of the pull, something like that, to the top of the pull. So we get it like that, and then maybe drag it kind of straight up like that. So yeah, that's the bottom of the pole to the top of the pole, and then we drag this to the breakout, and then that gives me that target that I was looking at. I guess it's a little bit lower than the one yesterday. But the other thing I was thinking is we have to move this thing a little bit down right here because we didn't break out right there. Let's go ahead and delete that one. I think this is potentially, I mean, we don't know exactly where it's going to break out, if it's going to break out to the upside. Like I said yesterday, I mean, we weren't sure yesterday either if we're going to break up or to the downside, and we're still in that position where we don't know whether we're going up or we're going down right now. If we break this line going down, we might see like another one of those big red candles like we saw yesterday. And then we'll have to readjust, maybe look at the Fibonacci retracement and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm still hoping that we can find support right here, get a bounce, break that resistance, and then maybe continue on in this bull flag pattern, break that to the upside, and then maybe be able to come up and hit this target somewhere up here. Let's go ahead and readjust this price tag, and it's around 0.614 approximately. We will have a way better estimate on this target once we actually do break this resistance. If we do, it's not guaranteed that we go up. It's possible that we go down, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like I said, I'm still kind of hoping that we do break to the upside. So yeah, that's what I'm still looking at today. We still have this potential flag pattern, the pull, and then consolidation, and then just waiting for a breakout to the upside or to the downside. Like I said yesterday, this candle was kind of scary. I was kind of wondering if it was over, but then I was like looking at the bottoms. I always tell you guys, we watch the trend line. Once it breaks that trend line going sideways or down, then we want to watch we want to watch the top, and then we want to watch the bottom right here. So we still hadn't broken the bottom technically. So I was like, okay, I'm still going to give it a chance. If it breaks this bottom, then I'm still I don't know if I would close my position. I'd probably just going to wait it out. I've already waited this long for this big position, so let's keep going. We were pretty close to my target though. In general, I was like targeting up here, but since we got this new pattern and we might break to the upside, I mean, since we have this potential pattern and potential target, I'm still trying to be patient. So let's see what we can get, what happens. But let's see. Someone also asked me to zoom out and take a look at the Fibonacci retracement in the last bull runs, because we're still technically haven't broken the top. And I was doing that before, but I didn't mention it in my videos. So okay, so the Fibonacci retracement, let's go over that if in case you're new to the channel. When we have a big run up and then we start moving to the downside, like even like right here, we're not moving to the downside quite yet, but when we have a big run up and we think we're having trouble and we're going to start pushing to the downside, we can get the Fibonacci retracement tool and drag it from the bottom of the run to the top of the run. I don't know if this is the top of the run, but let's come back here to the previous bull run. We had this crazy bull run over here. You could probably argue that you could do the Fibonacci retracement chart in two different places, either right here from this bottom or potentially even this bottom. Let's go ahead and do it from the bottom. Like I said, you could argue it in both ways. So we would get the Fibonacci retracement tool again. We have this big run up. We're going to get the Fibonacci retracement tool. We're going to find the bottom of that run. We're going to click, we're going to drag, and we're going to bring it up to the top of the run over here. Then we'll go ahead and click over here, something like that. I'm on tradingview.com right now. If you guys aren't familiar with TradingView, go ahead, go to tradingview.com, sign up, start your watch list, and that's how I watch these charts. So we're going to drag this Fibonacci retracement out, something like this, because these Fibonacci retracement levels come into play. In general, we saw that. If you've been following my channel, we saw that all in this area. Like I was saying, we have a big run up, then we start coming down. Then we set up the Fibonacci retracement chart from the bottom of the run to the top of the run. And we had some it actually came in very handy down here. Let's see. We were able to get some pretty decent trades off this. It came down, hit the 61, went up. It's just, if you've been following my channel, you know that it acts as support and resistance. So, or if you've had experience with it in general. So basically, let's go ahead and zoom into where we're at right now. So we're watching this big Fibonacci retracement from the last bull run. So if we can, kind of like how we broke out of this Fibonacci retracement box and started flying once we did that, then if we can do that over here, which is another reason why I don't really want to sell, is because we have so much upward momentum that it's like there could be more potential. But let's say we broke this top over here. We could be looking at something crazy like this after we break this one, if we can. You know what I mean? We might be looking at, when I hear people say like $2 Dogecoin and or even $1 Dogecoin, is kind of crazy, not crazy, but like it seems kind of out there. But if we break this previous top right here, that is going to be so possible. If we break 73 cents, we are just a skip away from $1. And that could be just the start. We could be doing something like that. I don't have any exact targets on this if we did break to the upside, but I just know, like, look at what we did down here when we broke out of this Fibonacci retracement chart. We got all these big, huge green candles and just like started to fly. So, and like I was talking about in one of my last videos, like, we're basically in this planet or universe right now. If we can break out and go into outer space of here, then maybe we might be wanting to look at the next one, but we don't really have any. The price hasn't gone that far. So that's one thing that I probably need to learn more about, is like, once we start breaking the tops, how to spot the tops, where we go after we break tops and stuff like that. That's one thing that I'm kind of, I don't know, when we're in these Fibonacci retracement charts, or when we start kind of going down, that's when I almost feel more comfortable, because then we can use the Fibonacci retracement to target levels going to the downside, and then when we start bouncing to the upside, we can use them to target to the upside as well. But that's kind of some of the strategies. So basically, let's look at the Fibonacci retracement chart, and let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Right now, we're basically sitting on the 50%, I believe. Let's zoom out. So these levels are broken up into percentages. This is the 23%, this is the 38%, the 50%, the 61%, and the 78%. Just so you know what I'm talking about. So right now, we're basically sitting at that 50% level, sitting at around 373 approximately. So let's go back and zoom in. And let's say what I'm kind of hoping is that we can keep holding support right around this 50% level, keep holding support, break that resistance, and then go up. So yeah, someone asked me in the comments to look at that, but it looks like we're sitting right around that 50% level on the bigger retracement chart. If we can stay above this 50%, get support on it, at least the next level that I'd be looking at is the 38%, which is around 459. But like I said, if we could break this resistance, I'm really looking at this area up here. And if we could break that red line going to the upside, we might be looking at the previous top. We haven't done that at all yet. I mean, it's possible it comes up, then we start getting a correction. But yeah, those are some of the things that I'm looking at anyways. For sure, this bull flag, let's see if that comes into play and we break that resistance. And then let's see if these Fibonacci retracement levels come into play. Let's see if we could hold support on this 50%, continue to hold support on it, and then that'll give us a better chance to break to the upside. If we start breaking it, then the next spots that we'll be looking at is the 61% and the 78% level going to the downside. And if you notice, okay, so let's go ahead. Oh, you know what? Let's zoom out a little bit because I think I did this a little different yesterday, which it kind of lined up. Let's drag this to the first run right here. Let's use this bottom instead of this bottom because I did this the other day, and this, what is it, the 78% level right here, we've been stuck in that 78% level this whole time. That's basically when we got that breakout to the upside. I mean, it went a little bit higher right here. I thought it was like it lined up almost perfect last time I did it. Let me see. Last time I did it, we were under it, like maybe something like that. No, but anyways, this whole area, we've been under that area. Once we broke out of that Fibonacci retracement zone, then we just flew to the next ones. And that's basically how I use this Fibonacci retracement. If we break one of them, then I'm looking at the next one either up or down. So let's say we break this one going to the upside. The next spot that I'm looking at is the next one's going to the upside. So yeah, we broke out of this one, came up to the next one, broke through that, then came up to the 50% level. Looks like we're having a little bit of trouble here. Maybe we even just do something like this, but I guess it changes that 50% level, doesn't it? It looks like the 50% is actually giving us a little bit of resistance right now. Like I said, you could argue different ways on where to drag the Fibonacci retracement from the bottom right here, because this was a little run, but this kind of was the start of the run as well. So I'm not super paying attention to that. I really like watching the Fibonacci retracement chart when we're going to the downside though. So let's say we broke the support right here and really started heading down. Then what I would do is, let's go ahead and get rid of this one right here. I just wanted to look at that because I was looking at it, but I didn't really have any like stuff to, I don't know, I didn't really have any solid stuff to give you guys with that. I just wanted to show that real quick because someone asked about it. But let's say we really start breaking the resistance, the support right here, and start heading to the downside. What I would do in that case is, like I was saying, we have big run-ups. Once we start having trouble and start heading down, or we start breaking supports, start breaking trends, going to the downside, then we could set up the Fibonacci retracement charts. So we get the chart or the tool, then we drag from the bottom of the run, maybe somewhere right here, and then we can drag that to the top of the run, something like that. So this is kind of something I think that would be a little more useful. Once we do start heading down, then I'd be looking at these levels going down, something like that. I really like the 50% level, but it really just depends. In this last one, when we came up and started coming down, we came all the way back down to the very bottom. Once we hit that bottom right there, that's when we started flying. But in general, we bounce on them, so that's why I like watching them too. We came down, hit the 61%, got a big huge bounce, found resistance on the 38% right here, and then started going down. So in general, they just work as support and resistance, and that'll help you do some trades if you are trading or whatever you're doing. I don't know. But like I've been saying, I'm still holding off. I really want to see us continue in this channel pattern and then break to the upside. That's mainly what I'm looking at. So that's Dogecoin. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other charts though. Let's take a look at Dogecoin to Bitcoin, Doge BTC. So I think someone was in the comments was a little confused on this chart, or maybe I didn't explain it perfectly. But this chart is Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin. So whenever, I mean, back in the day, when you wanted to do altcoins, you'd have to get on Binance and you'd have to buy Bitcoin, and then you'd have to trade Bitcoin to whatever the altcoin is. A lot of the places didn't have, like, you couldn't do straight US, or you couldn't do dollars to like Ethereum, or I don't know. I mean, a lot of the times though, like back in the day anyways, it was the altcoins compared to, or trading compared to Bitcoin. So like this other chart we were just looking at is Dogecoin compared to the dollar. So if this chart's going up, then that's good for Dogecoin. If it's going down, then it's good for the dollar. You want to be in either one. On this one, if this chart, if we're going back to Dogecoin to Bitcoin, the Bitcoin chart, Doge BTC. Like I said, if you're on TradingView, you can come up here to the search, type Doge BTC or ETH BTC, and those will give you the Bitcoin pairings. So basically, people trade Bitcoin to Dogecoin and the altcoins. If this chart is going up, then you're going to want to be in Dogecoin. If this chart is going down, then you want to be in Bitcoin. It looks like we are getting a little bit of resistance in this area. It almost looks very similar to the Dogecoin chart. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. But we use this chart to look at resistances. And if we're breaking resistances, then it's just good for Dogecoin. Like I said, if this chart's going up, then it's good for Dogecoin. If this chart is going down, then it's good for Bitcoin. But if we're breaking resistances, then that's a sign that that Dogecoin's being strong right now, and people are trading, like all the Bitcoin money in this whole area is going into Dogecoin. So instead of, I mean, it's potentially the Bitcoin money coming out of Dogecoin, or even just Dogecoin outperforming it. But anyways, we're watching these resistances, and once we break resistances, then it's good for Dogecoin in general. We broke that first one. That's when we started flying. We had the second one. We had resistance, resistance, resistance. I was watching this trend line, broke out of that one. We really started flying on that one as well. We got these big, huge green candles. I was watching the next one, the previous resistances. Once we start breaking resistances, we watch the previous ones, because that'll give us a clue where we might have trouble. So we had this resistance, broke it. We had this resistance, broke it, got a big, huge run. Now we were looking at this resistance, boom, broke that one, big, huge run to the next one. And then we broke this one, big, huge run to the next one. And let me kind of zoom out. So that's where we kind of stopped right here at this level right here. But if we can break out of this one, let's say we break, let's say we start actually let's go back to the 4 hour. I'm on Dogecoin again. I went back to Dogecoin. But let's say we break out of this flag pattern and start pushing to the upside, and it just starts going nuts and it starts outperforming Bitcoin. Let's go back to Dogecoin to Bitcoin. Then we might be breaking this resistance right here. Hopefully I'm not confusing anyone. But if we can break this resistance and that bull flag on the Dogecoin to dollar chart starts pumping, maybe we could break out of this one and start flying to the next one. There's this big old huge space right here between this resistance and the next one. Let's go ahead and zoom out. As you can see, we have this little resistance zone right here, but then the next one is way up here. So basically, if this chart can break this resistance right here, we might be seeing some big, huge movements like we did in the previous ones, right? In this first one, we had to kind of go up and down a little bit, but these other ones, it was just like straight shots up. And I'm kind of curious if we could break through this one, if we're going to see something similar right here. So keep your eye on the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart. Check out the previous resistances. If we start breaking that, then that'll be a clue that we might be getting some movement going back to the upside, because once we clear out this area, the next resistance is way up here. I mean, you could argue maybe they're like these other previous ones, but since this little run right here, this was the resistance, and then that was kind of the last one before it kind of just tanked to the downside. But so yeah, that's what I'm looking at Dogecoin to Bitcoin. Like I said, if we could break out of that, then I think we could be doing some big things right there on Dogecoin. And that doesn't have to be the stop, because we've came higher. Let's go to a different chart. I need to put this on my favorite. I need to change my favorite on that one because it's not that old. Let me see. Is this one? I want to go to like an older chart where we can see like older. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is the Dogecoin. No, that's not the right one. Sorry. I just basically want to see the, so it's Doge, BTC, and then we'll go to, let's go to, is it Binance? Yeah, see this one. There we go. Dogecoin and Bitcoin on Binance, because this one was trading on, because the other one that I'm looking at is Coinbase, and they didn't start letting you trade Dogecoin and Coinbase till like almost like the end, like it was like the end of the bull run at the last one. It was like somewhere right here where you could actually buy Coinbase on Dogecoin on Coinbase. But anyways, what my point was is that look at what we've done in the past compared to Bitcoin. I mean, this run up here just completely outperformed Bitcoin. We got a huge run. Like I was saying, this is Dogecoin to Bitcoin. So if this chart's going up, then that's good for Dogecoin. If this chart's going down, then that's good for Bitcoin. If you would have sold all your Dogecoin right here and then put it in Bitcoin, it would have performed great. If you put all your Bitcoin money into Dogecoin down here and went to Dogecoin instead of Bitcoin, you would have been doing great in this area. And that's kind of the point of this chart, is we want to watch it and see what's better, Dogecoin or Bitcoin. What's the better investment right now? In this area, this would have been the best time to put all your Bitcoin money into Dogecoin. I don't do that. I just trade, I never take my money out of Bitcoin and put it into Dogecoin, but this chart will give you clues. And like I was saying, look what we've done in the past. We've gotten huge runs right there. Even this was a big, huge run. This one is a really nice one, but let's see if we can continue that. Let's see if we can, I think this is the level that I'm looking at, right? This previous resistance. If we could break this resistance like I was talking about, maybe we could come to the next one. And it's not impossible for us to break that though. You know what I mean? So we just have to keep watching these resistances and kind of see if they could give us any clues. Let's go back to the other chart that I was looking at, because I was also looking at, this is the one on Coinbase, but let's take a look at the pattern that I was kind of looking at. We have, let's see, I think I was looking at the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so we have, let me delete this one for now, just to kind of make it a little less confusing. Okay, so we have resistance, 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 support, 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 support. We were really testing that resistance yesterday, going to the upside. We actually kind of got rejected and started to push down, as you know, same with the other chart. But same thing with that other chart. I'm going to adjust this trend line, something like this, because we are getting a little bounce right here. We are still technically bouncing. We had, let's see. Let me see. We had an uptrend, something like this. We broke that uptrend going sideways. Like I say, when we do that, we want to look at the top and then we want to look at the bottom before we really start making a decision. I mean, this would be like the first sign that it's kind of either starting to cool off or we're like getting a retracement. But the other sign, I keep on doing that. The other sign would be that if we look at the top and then we look at this bottom right here of this little area, then if we start breaking to the bottom of there, then we can really be a little bit more confident that we're going to head to the downside. If we break to the upside, then we could be more confident that we're heading to the upside. But same thing with the other chart. We have this big run up like this, and then we're getting consolidation. This is basically a pennant pattern, something like that, where we have a big pull, and then we have a tightening channel pattern going to the downside, almost like a falling wedge, which is also a good pattern. It's not a perfect falling wedge. It's almost more of like a triangle, but falling wedges are really good as well. And in a pennant pattern, that's perfectly normal as well. What we really need to do is just break the resistance. Once we do that, then we can get more confident. We'll have to look at this level and this level to make sure we break out of those to really get confident. But once we do that, then we can really start targeting this area in general. And we just watch this chart to kind of see what it's doing to Bitcoin. We don't really pay attention to the numbers on the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart. We're just seeing what kind of movement can we get if we break the resistances. And let's go back and put up this line again, because this is the kind of area that we're looking at. We're looking at this previous resistance, and that gives us that line right there. If we could break that, then that's going to be our good signal as well, and that kind of lines up with that top. So once we could do that, then we could be more confident on going up and Dogecoin outperforming Bitcoin even more. So let's see, what else should we take a look at? Bitcoin as well, because it looks like Bitcoin's doing good as well. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at. Well, I'm on the 4-hour time frame of Bitcoin right now. We have excuse me, we have support, resistance, kind of like a little triangle pattern. Same thing on this chart, guys. We have big run up, consolidation. All we have to do is break that resistance, and then maybe we can drag from the bottom of the run to the top of the pole, something like that. This isn't a perfect flag or pennant pattern, but it could be still a continuation pattern where we have a big run up, consolidation, break to the upside, then we drag from the bottom and the top of the pole, drag that to the breakout, and we could be looking at a target of around 102,000 in the short term. The other thing that I've been looking at is, if you follow my channel, we've been watching this cup and handle pattern on the Bitcoin chart. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one for now. Okay, so we have this big cup, and then we have a channel pattern going to the downside. Basic textbook cup and handle pattern. Once we break that resistance, that channel pattern resistance going to the upside, then we could target from the top to the bottom of this cup. We drag this to the breakout. The breakout is the breakout of the channel pattern. Then that gives me a target of approximately 124,000. I've got targets of 122,000. So between 122 and 124, that's the area that I'm looking at basically. But once we broke, and the things I was talking about this on my for the past couple of weeks, is there was 3 things that I wanted us to do. We had this resistance right here. I wanted us to break that. We had this previous top right here. I wanted us to break that. Then we had resistance giving me this trend line, that cup, the top of that cup. We needed to break that. We came through and did all 3 of those. We broke that resistance, broke the top, and then broke that trend line right there. So, and I was saying, once we do all 3 of those things, then we could get much more confident on maybe something like this. And we're still kind of heading up. I mean, it still looks pretty decent. So, we can't run up forever though. I mean, we can't run up forever. So when we get these little consolidation, correction kind of things, these little retracement, consolidation, kind of moving sideways action, it's probably a healthy thing, because if we just continue to move straight up, we're going to have a big, huge fall to the downside. And that's very normal in crypto. I mean, if you're hopefully, I don't know how new to crypto you guys are, but we get huge moves to the upside, and the bigger the move to the upside, the bigger the move to the downside. Because, I mean, when you start doing, like in Dogecoin, let's take a look at Dogecoin. Let's go back to the Dogecoin to US dollar chart. From this bottom down here, let's say just this bottom down here, the bottom of that retracement, to the top of the run right there, that's 314%. So if you were able to put, I know there was one guy in my comments who said, like somewhere over here, I think he was like, I'm not putting money until 8 cents. And it hit 8 cents. Later, it hit 8 cents. I wasn't sure we were going to go down that far, but it hit 8 cents. And then ever since then, it's been pumping to the upside. So from that bottom down here to up here, it was around 300%. So if we retrace, like let's say we go down like 50% even. Let's say 50% would be something like right here. If you got this trade from the bottom over here to the top over here, you're still like, that's still really good. Let's see. So right here, that's 300%, retracing down like 50% or whatever. That's not, it's very normal for us to do something like that, or 50, 40%, big, huge dumps to the downside. But yeah, that's just the way crypto goes. I forgot. I don't know where I was going with that, but, oh yeah, because if we continue to just shoot up and up and up and up and up, we're going to probably see moves to the downside in a very similar fashion. But back to Bitcoin, this chart is looking pretty decent. Same with Dogecoin. We just really need to break that resistance going to the upside. If we can continue moving up, all the altcoins usually follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's going up in general, then all the altcoins should be performing pretty good as well. And it's a better chance for them. So yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance real quick. We've also been watching this chart because this chart is basically, it's BTC.D, and this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. So if this chart is heading up, then it's basically dominating all the altcoins. But if this chart starts heading down, then that means that there's an altcoin season going on, and Dogecoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins are basically outperforming Bitcoin. And yeah, basically right now we're moving up, so it looks strong for Bitcoin. But if we could start dumping to the downside, or if this chart starts going to the downside, the Bitcoin dominance chart that is, then we can get more confident on an altcoin season. If this chart, so we have, let's see, we have support, and we're in kind of like, we're not in it, we actually broke to the upside. But if we get resistance and start heading down and we do break this support, then once we break this support, then you can kind of there might be an altcoin season basically, which means that the altcoins just start going nuts even more than they have been. So yeah, right now Bitcoin is definitely performing good. It's definitely been the dominant coin all in this area. But let's see if it breaks this resistance, then we could get more bullish on the altcoins. I'm probably 80% into Bitcoin, and then like what is it, like maybe like 10% in Ethereum, and then like 5%. Oh no, that's my ledger. I don't know, I'd have to calculate my Coinbase position too. I have a pretty decent Coinbase. I have a pretty decent Dogecoin position on Coinbase right now, so I'm not actually sure what the percentages are, but in general I like being mostly in Bitcoin. And I've talked about this before on my past videos. My strategy on Bitcoin is just dollar cost average as much as you like, whenever you can, every paycheck, just put in money every time, follow it up and down, and just keep going, because in general the trend is going to the upside. So that's been working out pretty good, and I started doing that somewhere back here like in 2017. I remember when I first started, I put like, I think like 50 or $100 in, and then it just like tanked going to the downside, and then that's when we went down to like, what was it, like 3,000 or 4,000. That was so crazy. I wish I could go back to then and just like put all my money in there, because I had like a savings, I had money in my savings account, and even when we were at 7,000, I was like, I wonder if I should just put all my whole 7,000 into Bitcoin, and I wish I would have done that, but it's all good. That's why we dollar cost average. So the other thing with dollar cost averaging, and let's say we put in like $10,000 right here, and it just starts tanking. That is why we do dollar cost averaging, is because if we're just putting in $25, $100 every time, something that we're not going to miss, something that we're probably going to go spend it on junk or eating fancy food or whatever it is. I mean, it depends on however you want to live your life. But like I said, like I'm saying, sometimes I feel like we can, or for me anyways, I feel like I'm going to probably spend it on junk half the time. So might as well just go out and put $20 in Bitcoin every paycheck or whatever. I haven't been doing that lately. I have other bills and stuff like that, but that's kind of my strategy when I am putting money into Bitcoin. But yeah, let's go ahead. I want to take a look at Ethereum real quick. I just kind of want to see what's going on with this one real quick. This is another chart that I'm kind of hoping that pumps to the upside, but we also have, okay, so let's see. We have resistance. We have support. I was talking about this in yesterday's video, how it kind of looked like almost like a head and shoulders pattern, something like that, where we have a shoulder, head, shoulder, and that's actually a bearish pattern. So if we break that support line going to the downside, we would target from the top of the head and shoulders to the bottom, that neckline right there. Then we could drag this to the breakout, something like that, and then that would be our target, and that puts us down to around 2,944. We didn't quite come down and hit that target, but not that I'm targeting or trading on it. I'm kind of just more hoping that it goes to the upside, kind of like Dogecoin. But let's go ahead and readjust this one. I think the main thing, not the main thing, but one of the main things that I'm looking at is just this resistance right here. If we could break that resistance, then we could start heading back to the upside, at least and then start at least looking at the previous resistances. If we could break those, then we could start moving up even more. I have a couple targets, like bigger targets on this. Let's actually do something like this, because this almost looks like maybe like a falling wedge. And same thing with this chart. We have a big, huge run up, kind of consolidation, but it's moving to the downside. If we could break this going up, then maybe we could target from the top to the bottom of that. But I've also been looking at a couple other different patterns on this chart, and we already kind of hit one of the targets on them. This chart is kind of crazy. Let's go to a different chart and let's get it a little more cleaned out. Let's see. Let's delete this one. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. Okay, so here's what I've been looking at. We had 3 targets. We had this little pattern right here where we had resistance, 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 giving me this triangle pattern. Once we broke that, going to the upside, what I did was I targeted from the top to the bottom of that triangle pattern, drove that to the breakout. And I like targeting in the middle. Some people will do it all the way at the end to get you like a bigger target, but I like doing it in the middle to be a little bit more conservative about it. I'm basically just showing you guys what I do, and hopefully you guys can learn from it. I mean, you know, try to take it with a grain of salt or whatever, but we dragged this to the breakout. We had that first target of around 3,268. We came up, hit that. After that, we started finding a little bit of trouble. But we also had this channel pattern right here where we had resistance, resistance, support, support, support. We had this channel pattern. We broke that going to the upside as well. What I did in that situation is drag from the bottom to the top of the channel, drag this to the breakout. Like I said, I do it somewhere in the middle, something like that, and then drag that to the breakout. Once we break this resistance line going to the upside, then we drag that to the breakout right there where it breaks out, and that gives me a target of around 3,886. We haven't hit that target. Maybe we'll get support on this Fibonacci retracement level and bounce to the upside. This next target lines up with that red level at the 23% of the Fibonacci retracement chart. And let's kind of zoom out and let me show you where I got the Fibonacci retracement chart from. We had this big, huge run. We drag from the bottom of the run to the top of the run, or we get the Fibonacci retracement tool, let's say, drag from the bottom of the run, top of the run. That's where I'm getting those levels at. And like I said at the beginning of the video, these levels start coming into play. Maybe now that we broke the 38% level, we can come down, find support on it, and get a bounce to the upside. Look where it's kind of finding support at, right at that 38% level. So let's see if we could hold where we're at right now, then bounce to the upside, and maybe come back and hit this target. Even if you're not in Ethereum, you can see how technical analysis, like some of these strategies though. So let me know if you guys are in Ethereum, or if you guys like Ethereum, or whatever, these other coins that I'm talking about, or Bitcoin even. But yeah, same thing. Okay, so we have that channel pattern, gives me a target of around 3,886. I've just been holding Ethereum for a long time, so that's why I'm kind of looking at it. What I'm hoping is that we can break out of the Fibonacci retracement box like we did on Dogecoin and start shooting to the upside. Even like 6,000 would be a cool target for me, but we'll wait and see. Okay, so the next pattern that I was looking at, cup handle pattern. We broke the channel pattern going to the downside, the handle, let's say, so we can drag, same thing we did on Dogecoin or Bitcoin. We could drag from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup. I don't know, this one's weird because it like comes really down really low right here, and it's kind of up right here. I like being conservative with my targets, so let's do something like this. Drag from top to the bottom of that cup pattern, drag that to the breakout where it broke out of that channel pattern, because we have the cup, we have the handle. Once we break out of that handle, then we could target from the top to the bottom, and then that gives us that target of around 4,852, which basically takes us all the way to the previous top or around there. And like I was saying, same thing with Dogecoin. We just saw this happen. We were looking at this Fibonacci retracement chart on Dogecoin for the last couple weeks, actually probably like a couple months at this point. Once we broke that top, that's when we really started flying. So let's see what happens on Ethereum. Let's see if we could even make it to those levels, and let's see if this continues to perform in general. But like I was saying, if we could get to 6,000, that'd be a sweet target for me. I think I hold around maybe like 1.7 Ethereum, or close to 2, somewhere around there, like 1.7 I think it is. If we can get up to this area or even break out of this level, I'd be really interested to see what happens. Like I said, I'd be even I'd probably settle for 6K, but I would like to see what happens if we did break out of this area and see if we could shoot even higher. But let's hold our horses. Let's see if we can kind of tackle these targets first. Let's see if we could break out of the Fibonacci retracement box in general. So yeah, that was Ethereum. Let's go back to Dogecoin real quick. Let's see what's performing on my watch list. Actually, Cardano looks like it's doing good. It's up 13%. This is another one. I hold all these coins on my watch list. I do hold a little bit of some of them. And this one's looking really good too. We were down here for this whole area. We had this resistance where we had resistance. Once we broke that resistance, we started flying. So that was a signal right there that we might be starting to do good. We also had resistance giving me this second downtrend. We broke that one. Ever since then, we've just been flying. So what we do after we break these trends, we start looking at previous resistances. So maybe we could come all the way up here. I mean, it looks like there's a little bit of resistance right here, and that's where we kind of starting to have trouble. But we could come back up to here, which is around 81 cents. If we break out of this Fibonacci retracement box, same thing like on Dogecoin, then we can even look at the next previous ones. Came all the way up here to around .123. Yeah, I mean, I traded all the way up here. I actually bought the top over here. These green lines are small positions, and the yellow ones are bigger positions, or like I think green is like $20 or something like that. So I was playing around in Cardano as we were going down. On this run over here, I made some pretty good trades, and a lot of this position is actually house money because of the trade that I made over here, because it broke this resistance going to the upside, and once we did that, then I made a really good trade over here. I was watching this trend. Was it something like this, or maybe even something like this? Once we broke that trend going to the downside, that's when I got out of the position and started dollar cost averaging back in, going to the downside. Let's see if we could continue to head up and maybe come back up to these all-time highs, or I don't know what's going to happen with Cardano, but it's looking very good right now. And like I said, I was just watching the watch list. It's up 14% right now. Like I said, go to tradingview.com, sign up for an account, start your watch list, click the little plus button right there, search for your favorite cryptos, which exchange you're looking at it on, and then you could come up when you start your day or whatever, then you could look at your watch list and see all these percentages and see what's moving today. Right now, it looks like Cardano is moving. Cardano to Bitcoin looks like it's doing really good too. Let's check out this chart, because this chart got wrecked for a while compared to Bitcoin. We have resistance right here, resistance right here. Let's go ahead and drag this trend line out some more. Let's do something like this. This could be potentially something pretty big. Like I was saying, from the all-time highs, let's go back to Cardano. From where we're at compared to the all-time highs, let's zoom out a little bit. We're all the way down here compared to the all-time highs. So there's some potential in Cardano, in my opinion. Still, like I said, I'm holding it. I haven't been buying it, but I'm holding it from way back when. And we have resistance right here. Let's go. So I'm back on the Cardano to Bitcoin chart. And like I said before, on the Dogecoin to Bitcoin, if this chart is going down, then that's good for Bitcoin. If this chart is moving up, then it's good for Cardano, ADA to Bitcoin. So like I was saying, people trade Bitcoin compared to Cardano. So the same way we do the technical analysis on US dollar to whatever coin it is, we do the same thing here. But basically, we have resistance giving me this big, huge trend line. If we could break that trend line going to the upside, then we could start looking at maybe the previous resistances. It almost looks like a falling wedge if you think about it. Maybe something like that, or maybe a channel pattern, actually. It kind of looks more of like a channel pattern where it's more symmetrical, where it's going boom, boom, boom. We didn't quite do that. We didn't quite come all the way down here, but it is these two bottoms and these two tops are kind of symmetrical, where it's kind of parallel, as opposed to it getting tighter and tighter, which would be a more bullish pattern if it was something more like, I mean, you could kind of argue it is kind of something like that. And we just saw with Dogecoin the falling wedge pattern. Once we break that resistance going to the upside, then we start targeting the previous resistances. If we could break this big resistance right here on Cardano to Bitcoin, like we did with like we were doing with Dogecoin, same thing, boom, then we can start looking at the previous resistances. It might give us, if we break that resistance, it might give us some room to move to the next resistances going to the upside. So yeah, and like I said, go to tradingview.com, set up your watch list, and then you can it kind of gives you clues. If certain coins are outperforming the other ones, then you can kind of check them out and see what's going on with them. I think that's about it though. Let's check out Tesla real quick. Tesla had like a big move. I actually closed this position. We had, let's see, where was it? We had this big kind of triangle pattern right here, resistance, 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 support, 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 giving me that triangle pattern. I was dragging from the top to the bottom of that triangle, something like this. Drag that to the breakout. That gave me a target of around 352. Came up, hit that target, and ever since we hit that target, it looks like it's been trending to the downside. Let's see where it comes back down. Like I said, I closed that position, maybe somewhere over here. Let's see if we could come back down, maybe find support on this previous resistance right here. Maybe we can come down, maybe we can, the resistance will flip to support. Maybe it'll come down and bounce to the upside, but we don't know. Let's see what happens. But yeah, that's Tesla. Going back to Dogecoin, let's cap off the video. Okay, so like I was saying at the beginning, we're watching this potential bull flag. Hopefully, it's not a guaranteed bull flag. That's why we watch the bottom and the top. Once we break the top, then we can get more confident on this big target up here, and it could potentially be a bull flag. Right now, like yesterday, like I was saying, we kind of had an uptrend. We broke that going to the upside, to the downside. This could be our first clue that we are going down, but the second clue would be breaking this bottom right here. Let me go to the hourly time frame so you can see a little bit better, and let me delete this. Okay, so we came down, found support right here, went up, came down, got support again, came up, got support again, came up, got support again. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying the bottoms and the tops. So we have this bottom area right here. If we break this area going to the downside, then we might be looking at a correction. If we break this going to the upside, then we can get more confident that we might be looking at targets going to the upside. Did I say downside? If we break the bottom, then we might be looking at targets going to the downside. If we break this top right here going to the upside, then we could be more confident on the targets going to the upside. But until we kind of do break those, then it's still potentially we could be bouncing going straight. But those are the kind of the confirmations that we're kind of looking for when we're watching these charts. Okay, hopefully that was a really long video. If you're still here, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate everyone who's watching the videos in general. If you guys like these videos, it'd be amazing if you guys subscribe. We're getting really close to 10K, and I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed as well. If you don't want to subscribe, just hit the like button. That's cool with me. So if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you want to watch the last video, check it out right here. If you're new to trading, check out this playlist. It'll help get you started. And once again, if you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's see if Dogecoin go to the moon. All right, I'll see you guys.